People always ask what fear sounds like, but no one ever imagines it could come from inside an old refrigerator. In the winter of 1976, a quiet American town faced the most terrifying week in its history, when two sweet twin sisters vanished without a trace. Their laughter disappeared from the playground, footprints ended in the snow, and hope began to rot in the cold air. Parents prayed, police searched, neighbors whispered. But 2 days later, when children heard a faint knocking from an old rusted fridge behind their house, the town discovered a truth darker than any nightmare. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and don't forget to click on the bell icon. It was the winter of 1976, and the town of Coldridge looked like a postcard. White rooftops, frozen trees, and children's laughter drifting in the frozen air. Everything felt calm, predictable, almost peaceful. The kind of place where people left their doors unlocked and neighbors trusted one another blindly. Among those children were 10-year-old twin sisters, Lily and Tina Carlson. They were the kind of twins who moved like reflections of each other. If Lily laughed, Tina laughed. If Tina cried, Lily cried harder. They held hands everywhere they went, shared the same stories, the same dreams, even the same fear of the dark people in town. Often said the twins had their own invisible thread connecting their hearts. Their mother believed it too. On the afternoon of December 14th, the first snowfall of the winter finally arrived. The girls begged to go outside and play. Their mother helped them bundle up in matching red coats, tiny woolen hats, and mittens they had knitted with her the previous week. Lily grabbed a wooden doll she never left behind, and Tina carried a little notebook filled with their secret twin symbols. They ran into the backyard, giggling, their breath forming little clouds. Their mother stood at the kitchen window, her hands still wet from dishwater, watching them push the swings, chase each other, make patterns in the snow. And then she turned around just for a moment to answer the ringing phone. When she looked back, the swings were empty, still swaying gently in the wind, as if someone had pushed them only seconds earlier. At first she smiled, thinking they were playing hide-and-seek behind the shed like they always did. But when she called out their names, and only the wind answered, that smile vanished. She stepped outside, the cold biting her face. No giggles, no footsteps running toward her, no answer. Within minutes, panic wrapped around her chest like a fist. She called neighbors. They came running with coats half-buttoned and flashlights in hand. The police arrived quickly. This was a small town, and missing children were unthinkable. Flashlights sliced through the trees as search parties formed. People knocked on doors, checked garages, opened basements, crawled under decks. Anywhere two little girls could hide or be hidden. But the footprints in the snow told a story no one could make sense of. Two small pairs of prints led from the backyard toward the tree line, and then stopped, perfectly, cleanly, as if the girls had simply evaporated into the air. No struggle, no scuffle, no drag marks, no vehicle tracks, just two sets of tracks ending in the middle of untouched snow. The search went on through the night. Dogs sniffed the ground but kept losing the scent near an old abandoned property at the end of the block. Volunteers kept shouting the twins' names into the woods. By midnight, the temperature dropped below freezing. Officers urged the mother to rest, but she refused, walking in circles, whispering, "Hold on, babies, hold on." By the second night, hope became fragile. Families kept their children inside, curtains closed early. People whispered that no one disappears without leaving the world a mark. But the twins had left nothing. Then, on the third evening, something happened that still gives chills to anyone who remembers it. 3 neighborhood kids were building a snowman near the fence of their yard when they heard a faint tapping sound. It was so soft that at first they thought it was just the wind rattling a loose gutter. But then it happened again. Tack, tack, tack. Slow, metallic. Coming from behind an old rusted refrigerator their father used as a storage cabinet. The fridge had been sitting there for years, too heavy to move, too old to bother throwing away. No one ever touched it. The children froze, their eyes wide. Then the knocking became more frantic, not random, not mechanical, but desperate. They dropped their sticks and ran screaming for their mother. Adults rushed outside, flashlights pointed toward the fridge. The knocking stopped instantly, like whoever was inside knew someone had arrived. An eerie silence fell over the yard. A police officer stepped forward. He hesitated, placed his hand on the cold, icy handle, pulled. And the door creaked open with a sound that seemed too loud for the quiet night. Inside, curled up like a tiny autumn leaf, was Lily. Her skin was ghostly pale. Her lips were blue, cracked from the cold. Frost had formed in her hair. Her arms were wrapped tightly around her chest as if she had fought to stay warm. When the officer touched her shoulder, she flinched, her whole body trembling violently. But her eyes, they were open, wide, haunted, terrified. She whispered something, but her voice cracked. The officer leaned closer, and her words came out like broken glass. "Don't. Open. The other door, please. Don't open the darker door." She clutched her wooden doll so tight her knuckles were white. The paint on the doll's face was scratched away, as if someone, or something, had clawed at it in the dark. At the hospital, Lily drifted in and out of consciousness. But each time she woke, she repeated the same thing. "Tina's still trapped. Not in the cold room. In the dark one underground." Police immediately returned to the abandoned property. Behind a half-collapsed shed, they found a second refrigerator, larger, older, painted black, buried partially in snow and dirt as if someone tried to hide it. Fresh scratches covered its surface. The handle was rusted over. Tools were brought, flashlights steadied, and when they pried open the heavy door, they understood why Lily kept begging them not to open it. Tina was inside. Her little body was curled in the same position as her sister's, her face calm, peaceful, too peaceful. She had run out of air hours earlier. There was nothing anyone could have done. Not anymore. A wave of grief tore through the town. People cried openly in the street. The twins' mother collapsed when she heard the news. For weeks, the community lived in fear, shock, and guilt. How could something like this happen here? Who could do something so twisted? Investigators pieced together what they could. Someone had lured the twins. Someone strong enough to carry them. Someone familiar with the abandoned property. Someone who had been watching. A man living 2 houses down became the prime suspect, a quiet, solitary figure who always avoided children, yet seemed to know too much about the search timeline. He denied everything. There were no fingerprints, no witnesses, no physical evidence linking him to the scene, no confession, no arrest, no justice. Life went on. But the shadow of that winter never truly left Coldridge. The abandoned house was eventually demolished. Families moved away. Parents taught their children never to wander alone again. And Lily, the little girl who survived inside that metal tomb, grew into a quiet, thoughtful woman. She never spoke publicly about what happened, but she spent her life working with missing children, comforting families, guiding survivors, making sure no other child would face what she and Tina faced, and sometimes, on the coldest nights, she would pause, look into the darkness, and say she could still feel her sister's presence. Still hear her heartbeat in the silence, still hear that soft, desperate knocking, the sound that saved her life. Because fear, real fear, doesn't shout. It breathes down your neck. It creeps through the cold. It whispers from the dark. And sometimes, it knocks.